Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right, good evening and welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, and welcome to another night of sharing. We have a very special show, and I have a very special guest with me tonight. Her name is Miss Joetta Clark Diggs, four-time Olympian, motivational extraordinaire speaker, author, and businesswoman. As one of the most renowned motivational speakers and four-time Olympian, Joetta Clark Diggs is a dynamic personality and highly sought-after resource in business and professional circles, university, nonprofit, and community sectors. A premier keynote speaker and leading authority on health and wellness, motivation, and achievement for audiences. Joetta Clark Diggs energizes people to meet the challenges of the world around them. She skillfully weaves her compelling life story into the fabric of our daily lives. The thread is forever strengthened, touting why you can't afford to be complacent and to aim high, achieving and actively make an impact on the world. Joetta Clark Diggs has also made her contribution to society as a respected businesswoman, with her perfume line, critically acclaimed author, noted television and radio personality, and an advocate for health and fitness initiatives. Without further ado, please help me welcome to the stage, to my personal stage, Miss Joetta Clark Diggs. How are you this evening?
I'm doing fine, Kimberly, and thank you for that introduction. I had to pinch myself to make sure you were talking about me, so thank you for those kind words.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Believe me, there's a whole lot more that we get to talk about tonight besides the introduction. I mean, I am just ecstatic. We talked just for a few minutes before we came on, and like I was telling you, that I'm very, very excited about this interview tonight, and I know we have a lot to dig into. So what I would like for you to do is just tell the listeners just a little bit more about who you are personally, and then we'll dive into some of the other good stuff about you.
Okay, Kimberly, in the audience, you have my name, and I am from New Jersey. I grew up in Newark and South Orange, and when I grew up in the city of Newark, it was during the riots in the 67 time frame. So after growing up in Newark and South Orange, I went to college, the University of Tennessee, graduated and did my studies there. And then after that, I made some Olympic teams. But the most important thing, if I want to tell you about who I am, I'm just somebody that's trying to make a difference in the lives of others and to try and let them know that you may not be the Olympic champion or the world champion, or you may not be that person, but champion. And so to empower people to realize that they are great.
Exactly. Okay, we're breaking up just a tad bit on your end. So just if you could just repeat just a little bit of what you just said about what it is that you are truly trying to accomplish. All right. So are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes,
okay.
I am.
Okay. All right. So I think we had a little bit of interference there, so that's fine. But I just kind of wanted to have you reiterate some of the things that you just said.
Okay. Well, I wanted just to go about who I am. And in a nutshell, I'm just somebody from the city of Newark, New Jersey, and South Orange, growing up in the riots, born in 1962. I just had a birthday on August 1st. And as you get older, you celebrate the entire month. So I'm still celebrating. And I just want to empower women and men and people to achieve greatness. And everyone can be an Olympic champion, a gold medalist, or that, but they can be the champions of their lives. And what I do now is to inspire and encourage people to do that, to be the champions of their life, and to realize that they must eliminate excuses in order for that to happen.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And I know that, I kind of wanted to go back just a little bit. Now, you were saying that you were brought up and grown, and it was in the era of time of 67. As a matter of fact, I was 1 year old during that time frame. Mm-hmm. And you were obviously definitely grown up in the area where, as people of color, we constantly have to work harder no matter what it is we do. But there was a lot more going on back in the 60s. So talk a little bit about some of the struggles that you faced when you were going through school? And then what also gave you the courage? Who admired you to get into the track and field?
Well, that's a good question. I grew up, my year was 1962. So when the riots came around, I was 5 years old. And that was a very difficult time period. And my parents had their own business. My mother had a beauty parlor in Newark, New Jersey. And my father at that time, when I was a kid, he was a teacher in Patterson. So for us to see the riots and to understand that dynamic, it was very challenging. But my parents always said that as kids and their kids specifically, we were not going to make excuses and we were going to rise to all occasions. So that was the household in which I was born. So I started running distance, believe it or not, because my father wanted to dispel the notion that American athletes could not run distance. During that time, usually the African countries, the Kenyans, were the ones running distance, and then the Americans were running sprint. So they wanted to say to everyone and to us specifically that if your parents got behind you academically, educationally, athletically, whatever it was, you could excel. And back then, Kimberly, we didn't say no, we didn't question. We just pretty much did what they said do. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got started in distance. And then as I got a little bit older, around 10 years old, I went to school up in South Orange, and that was a predominantly white Jewish community, and had to embrace, and they had to embrace me. I had to embrace their culture. And one thing I didn't notice is that people from all walks of life, you're going to have those that like you and those that do not like you. And for me, I had more people that liked me, and I had to adjust. They had to adjust, and we made friends. And from that piece, I saw the world differently. Mm-hmm. And I never wanted to say that person's bad because of color, race, or ethnicity. I wanted you to prove to me you're good or bad. And that older, I learned to distinguish and to identify and to move away from those people, if they were like me or not, that were not encouraging and inspiring me and making me feel as though I was important. Mm-hmm. So that is my early upbringing, and that kind of shaped and molded my thoughts for adulthood.
Mm-hmm. And that's, to be honest with you, that's the way the kids today need to be raised. And exactly what you were talking about is how I was raised. We didn't make excuses because we were taught not to make excuses. And yes, we learned to take whatever was standing in front of us. We didn't go around it. We went right through it, and we learned to deal with it, and then be able to move on and achieve the goals that we were taught to achieve. Because you can't make excuses for life. We are who we are, no matter what color of skin we are. And if you carry the hate, and even in the world we're living today, it's like we're going back 20, 30 years, even though this stuff has never really gone away. But our parents made you believe, made you understand that this is what you're going to face for the rest of your life. But if you keep sitting in a corner and making excuses, you're never going to go anywhere in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our parents and also the community at large. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when they saw me, they said, Joetta, you're going to go far. And they helped, and they spoke, and they talked about history, and they gave me wisdom, and they gave me hope. So when I made my various Olympic teams, and when I went off to college and graduated and went back to school for more studying, mm-hmm. I had a community that supported me. I had the adults that believed in my being, and then they encouraged and supported my dream. So my parents were the foundation, but it was my neighbors, my relatives that all embraced what I was about. And I think, Kimberly, as we move forward, we need to go back and embrace the dreams and ideologies of our kids. Mm-hmm. And even though they, the motto was, you speak when you're spoken to, mm-hmm. and listen, I think there's something to be said about embracing the identities and the thoughts of kids today. I have a daughter, and I go back and forth from that mantra when I was a kid to letting them speak, to try and direct their thoughts, because there's so much information out there for them. So I'd rather hear what they have to say, what she has to say, and then kind of help her through that maze, as opposed to what we had. We didn't have this internet, this whole thing. So,
Right.
so it has changed the dynamics. And so as I've gotten older, I've had to also embrace the culture and where we are today and realize that although that thought process worked for us, it may not work for the generation today.
Right. And you're right. And the big part, like you said, is because when we were coming up, we didn't know what the internet was. There was no such thing. And so you actually had to learn to communicate as a family. And then when you were told to sit down as a child, like you said, you know, go over there, sit down, kids are not to be heard. Mm-hmm. But at the same token, we did listen and we did learn. And today, the problem was with the kids is that there's so much information being brought out to them way too fast that they really don't even know how to be a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and how to, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
And how to process the information. So as a motivational speaker and someone that speaks to kids and colleges and corporations, it's my job to be on top of the game, to try and help you delete and reboot some of that noise that you have out there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I want to talk just a little bit, though, about you being a half-mile career runner. I mean, you did some amazing things during a time frame that everybody said, you know, that's never going to happen for those who are on the outside of your world that were not a part of you. So tell me about 1988, 96, and 2092 and the Olympics. I mean, we got to talk about this because this is like one of the most exciting parts of your life and your career, which helped you boost into, you know, the next part of who you are.
Absolutely, Kimberly. I will be remiss if I didn't address 1980 and 1984, because although I made 4 Olympic teams, I tried out 6 times.
Wow.
And in trying out the 6 times, the first time was my senior year in high school, 1980. I made the finals, but I did not make the team. And then my second time was in 84. I made the first round only. And at that time, I made a commitment and promise to myself that I would do all that I could do to make sure that I would be ready the next time. Mm-hmm. So the next time was 88, and I made the Olympic team by the skin. And I mean the skin of my shoulder. I leaned across the line and outleaned Debbie Grant at the time, who happens to now be one of my good friends. So I outleaned her for third, and I made my first Olympic team. And as you can imagine, the excitement and the glee that I had making my first team, I didn't run well that year at the games, but it gave me a taste. And once you get bitten by that Olympic bug, if you have the ability to make it and stay healthy 4 more years, which I did, I made my next team in 1992. And I had an amazing run in Barcelona. I made the finals. And I always say I didn't get a gold medal in any of my Olympic games, but I got the gold medal of life. I've traveled across the world for free. I represented the amazing country. I made amazing friends and had an opportunity to get an education, and I didn't have to pay anything for it. So making the Olympic team, being an athlete, being in sports, it taught me about life. It built character. I learned goals, but most importantly, I had the opportunity to be at my best, to represent my family in this country in fine fashion.
Absolutely. And that's what I love what you just said about the fact that here you got an opportunity. It's not about how many gold medals you have. It's the experiences that you were able to, experience and live, because not everybody gets that opportunity. And then what most people don't do, even after they've had that opportunity to be a part of something so great, that they don't actually bring it back out here in the real world and utilize it to their best abilities. But you have turned that completely around. You actually are the president of Joetta Sports and Beyond LLC. So talk a little bit to us about this program that you have, or your business that you have.
Well, that idea, Joetta Sports and Beyond, came up when I made my third Olympic team in 1996. At that time, the money was there, but I did not know how much longer I would be able to make it in the sport. So I said I wanted to do something. I didn't know what particularly, but I wanted to be in the sports industry. And I named it Joetta Sports and Beyond because I knew, and I had a premonition that in the future I would go beyond sports. So when I first started the Joetta Sports and Beyond, I was just speaking. I was marveled over the fact that people would pay to hear what I had to say. And at that time, I didn't know what to particularly say, but I finally got it together and went out on a small lecture circuit. So in 2000, when I made the Olympic team with my sister and my sister-in-law, and we were coached by my brother, called Team Clark, I now have something to say. People want to hear about my story. And my mother, Joetta Clark, had her own business who I admired and I idolized her. And then my father, Dr. Joe Clark, was the subject of the movie Lean on Me. So I have all these people pulling me from different areas that I'm now able to go beyond sports and speak to corporations and to empower people. I'm able to now go into school districts and speak and bring my various fitness programs and health and wellness programs and eliminate excuses programs to school districts. So the Olympics and the track and field set me up for what's and beyond.
Absolutely. But the thing I love that you just said is how your family was involved in almost every step. From here you had your sisters and your sister-in-law a part of the Olympics, and then here your mother is an entrepreneur, your father is a doctor, but then you said something about your father being a part of Lean on Me. What was that you had mentioned?
Oh yeah, my father, Dr. Joe Clark, is the subject of the movie Lean on Me. The movie that Morgan Freeman played. Yeah. You used to call me Crazy Joe, but now you call me Batman. It was done at East Side High School. So that's my father. So with all of that being said, I had a platform to go out now and be relevant in this new phase of my life. And Kimberly, to be honest, so often we are trying to make things happen. What you need to make happen is that you are prepared for your success. And I was prepared for my success. I was a student of speaking and topics and going out and being entertaining, but also giving out information. And in doing that, I was able to write a book. So I am now relevant in my new field, which was speaking and also being the president of Joetta Sports and Beyond.
Absolutely. And your book that you have is called the Joetta's P Principles for Success, Life Lessons Learned from Track and Fields. Tell us a little bit about that book.
Now, that book came out because people were asking me all the time, Joetta, once I got done speaking, they wanted a takeaway, and I didn't have a takeaway. But the reality, Kimberly, is that I did. What I spoke about, my P's, I put that in the book. So what are the P's? What is the P's? What is your purpose? Your raison d'etre, your reason for being. And then you have to preparation. And then you have to be patient. You're not going to get what you want right away. You're going to have to wait, and you're going to have to plant the seed and water it and put some sunshine to it. And hopefully you will bloom in time. You will bloom. And then after you have a purpose, you're prepared, you're patient, you get perturbed. People are going to say, Joetta, you can't do that. You're black. Or you can't do that because you're tall, you're Hispanic, you're short. They're going to tell you all these reasons as to why you can't do something. It's because they see themselves in you and they can't do it. So you have to get perturbed and show not only them wrong, but prove yourself right. And then you have to persevere. In the perseverance part, you have to analyze, organize, initiate, and follow through. And when you persevere, you realize that by an inch, you win or lose. I never cease hoping. And when you're doing that, you pray. Because when you're praying, it all comes together. So those are my P's from the book. And that book came out in 2009. We had some edits and things over the years so that it's still relevant. Colleges use it for the freshman experience. Corporations use it for team leadership. So I am very proud of the book that was always inside of me, but I never sat down to write it. And then when I wrote it, I'm like, this is it. This book speaks to everything. It talks about track and field, but track and field parallels life. So the lessons learned in sports can be applied to life.
Exactly, especially when it's done the right way, because like you said, sports actually applies to discipline, teamwork, all the things that comes as a part of success. And utilizing that tool, I think, is amazing. And it's a proper way of doing it, because a lot of young people especially can actually, focus more, and they think about sports, sports as it being everything to them, not understanding though truly that sports is just, it's a part of who you are, but it's not who you are. And if you learn those lessons in life that you're going through in those avenues of going to sports, whether it's basketball, baseball, or like say track and field, it teaches you so much it's truly about teamwork and believing and trusting each other and believing in your own instincts, because I know you probably heard a million times over that you're never going to be anybody, you're never going to make it. And during the time you were coming into the Olympic era, and like you're being raised in an era of, where being black is always considered a problem. And it's just amazing to hear your story and how you've, have taken every little thing that you've learned and have turned it into something positive. And what did you say to those people who always told you that you couldn't make it?
Kimberly, to be honest with you, I was raised and I listened and I gravitated and I was a sponge. So a lot of times people said that I could not do something, and they would analyze why I could not do something. I was 38 years old. 38. I made my final Olympic team. I took third in the trials, and I was also selected as the team captain. I also ran my best time, 1:57 at 37 years old. So you have a lot of naysayers. And the one thing I always say, you can doubt anybody in the world that you want, but you can never doubt yourself. So I never doubt myself. There are times when I am questioning or trying to figure things out. But if I get a vision and if I put it in my mind and I put pen to paper, and I know that it's going to come to fruition. That is how I've lived my life. So if someone said I couldn't do something, I might listen, I might not. They may have some reasons as to why I may not do something. But the bottom line is that do not put your dispersions on me. We are different people. And the fact that you're saying that I can't do something, I'm going to dig down even deeper. Not only do it, but do it to a height that neither you or I thought I can do. And that was my mindset. And that's a toughness that was developed over the years. It was always there, but it got refined as I got older. It had to be applied to sports, and then it had to be applied to business, and then it had to be applied to my family. So all of these things had to be applied. But one thing that remained consistent was that I know who I am and whose I am. And in knowing that, I know that if I follow my design course, I'm special. Not because I think I'm special, but because I'm obedient. I'm obedient to the call. You cannot be obedient to my call. You have to be obedient to your call. We all have a set of cards that we were dealt. You have to play your hand to win. You can't play my hand. So my goal as I go forward with my perfume line and my body scrub and whatever else I'm getting into, that's my calling. And I'm going to be obedient and wait patiently for it to come through and be successful. I'm going to put the time in. I'm going to study. I'm going to put the resources behind it. And if I don't have the resources, I know people in the industry that can help me. And that's, as women, we tend not to do that. We have Rolodexes, we have people who we know. And because we're trying to make it on our own, we don't go back and ask for help. And I think that if you want to succeed in anything, you have to ask for help. You have to have someone or some people who you go back to or you talk to about some of your ideas and to help you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But also the biggest problem is, as women, we're so nurturing, and we nurture everybody, but we don't nurture ourselves the same way. Yes. That always seems to be a huge issue. We're always taking care of everybody. And then you start to realize that you're not living your dreams and you're not taking the time to focus on you to be the person that you know you're supposed to be. And the thing that I love that you're talking about is how you are obedient. I love what you just said about being obedient to you and to follow the path that God has given you. You've got a path, and you have taken the time to let everything elevate and grow. And it's proper timing. And here you are today teaching other children, other adults, in that continuous learning of this is who you are and this is how you can be what you want to be, but you have to use these principles. And those principles are amazing. So just talk a little bit, though, about your perfume and body scrub, because I didn't know you had a Joetta line out there.
Yeah, I do. And I'm very thankful and blessed about that. I talked with a friend about 2 years ago about doing this. And the reason Joetta came about is natural products that exfoliate the skin. It smells great. Is light. And I came up with the idea of Joetta because when I left an event, I gave them a book and I gave them an autographed picture or a pen. Mm-hmm. But women wanted so much more. And I didn't see a product out there that reflected, I had the smell of a champion. So when we are training or when we're going to work, sometimes you don't want to put on your fancy perfume or your expensive perfume. Mm-hmm. You want something that makes you feel good, but doesn't really go through your expensive line. So Joetta, it helps you to embrace your champion. And I'm giving you some of me. So it is a product that is light. It's mango and cucumber based, all natural ingredients. And I tell you, this product has been doing very well, vending and at events, and people order it from my website, which is joettasportsandbeyond.com. You can order it from there. The body scrub is a great exfoliation. It's a skincare line. And I think it reflects who I am. It's powerful, it's sassy, it's sexy, it's me. And to add to another point that you mentioned was about what am I doing now? I think now at 57, and I think this started around the 52 ages, I want to embrace me. Me, the meaningful me, the exciting me, the motivational me, embracing who I am. Don't change for anyone. Don't try to go around pleasing people. Embrace me. I think as women, as people, if you embrace your essence, your authenticity, I think that you have more to offer to the world and to yourself. And at this point in my life, that's what I've decided to do. And I have people that I talk to that, not many, just one or two, but that I run and talk to about this product or whatever I'm going through. And you have to have that go-to person. It could be a guy, it could be a female, but you have to have that person that's going to tell you the truth about you and your idea.
Yes.
And because I have that in my life, I think when I'm embracing me, they see it and they go, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. And by embracing me, I'm helping other people, and we are all rising together.
Exactly. Very well said. And I love that because I think, a lot of times women always talk about it, but don't always do. And so, I think the thing that I love about our conversation today, and what I want people to hear and understand, that, like you said, you may have been an Olympian and you've done all these great things, but you are you. You are still a human being. You are still just as normal as anybody else. And you are a very caring, loving person that's trying to make people understand that it doesn't matter how many gold medals you have, or if you have any or don't have any, or whatever you're doing, like, is you're putting in the best of your ability. You can be whoever you want to be.
Absolutely. And Kim, I tell you, I always say that, in life, you're going to have challenges, but are you willing to make the sacrifices that are needed for you to be successful? And so often we don't want to make the sacrifices, or we make them only part-time, or we make them when they are convenient. Mm-hmm. In order to be successful, you have to have the capacity to remain focused. You focus on one course until successful. And that's what I did as an athlete. And that's what I did as a businesswoman. And that's what I do as a mother. I make sure that I'm focusing on the one course until I'm successful.
And that is the proper way to do it, because you're right. I think a big part of today is that everybody wants that instant gratification. So, when one thing isn't working, they'll immediately go to something else, and then they'll stop that because, it works good now, but then it's not good enough. People just need to, like I said, to take your time, learn to grow, do it the right way instead of worrying about how fast you can achieve it. It's about where you're really going and what are you really doing? Because a lot of people, I'm actually an author as well. And I'm an award-winning author. And the first thing I always think about is that it's not about the awards. It's what am I doing? And I always want to make sure that I'm helping these other women live their journey as well and rewrite their stories, and making sure whether if it's not even a woman, it's a man, anybody, that we can take our tragedies, or when it doesn't always have to be a tragedy, but things that we've gone through in life, you can learn those lessons, but it's how you bounce back is what makes you who you are. So, you have been phenomenal this evening, and I'm just so happy I had the opportunity to talk to you. But what I would like for you to do is, obviously we can keep talking for hours because I have a lot of other things to talk, but I know you're also on vacation, so I'm going to let you go back to your vacation. But please tell everybody how they can get a hold of you if they would like to come and see some of your events or want to purchase your books and so forth. Yes.
Well, thank you, Kim, for asking that. You can do a couple of things. You can put my name in, Joetta Clark, and it comes up in Google. You can go to my website for the perfume line, for the book, to have me come out to be a speaker at your empowerment summits or your women events or your corporate events. You can go to Joetta Sports, SPORTS, and beyond.com to the website, and you can contact me that way. I also think that it's important to realize that even though, people look at me and they go, oh, you've had this going right and this go right and this go right. There's been a lot of challenges in my life as well. Mm-hmm. And I think the one thing before we end up with it, if I might, thing that I want to share with the audience is that you have to plant this garden of success. In this garden, you plant your peas, have a purpose, get prepared, be patient, get perturbed, persevere and pray. And then you plant 3 rows of squash. Squash gossip, squash criticism, and squash indifference. Plant also in this garden 3 rows of turnips. Turnip for work at school, turnip with a new idea, and turnip with the determination to do a better job tomorrow than you did today. And Kimberly, if your audience plants those gardens and they water it with authenticity, with love, and with sincerity, they will have the garden, the true garden of success and happiness.
Amen. I love that. That is awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day, your vacation, being away from your family and your friends to come on to my show this evening. Everyone, I'm telling you, if you missed out on this live, you need to go back and listen to the replay. This wonderful woman, Miss Joetta Clark Diggs, who is a 4-time Olympian, motivational, extraordinaire speaker, author, and businesswoman, has just made my evening. And so many other people. And I just keep sitting up here thinking, like, your dad. I'm like, I love that show. I'm like, I can understand why you are the person you are, okay? Because they need a whole lot more of your dads running around.
I had a very, very blessed mother and father, and I'm very thankful for that. And Kim, it was my pleasure and honor to be on your show. You're doing a wonderful job reaching out and doing what you do. And in doing that, you're making the world a better place.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And again, like I said, thank you for coming on the show. For everyone else, we are here every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We're on Apple Podcasts now. We are on, obviously, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Tumblr. This show is growing and the platforms are getting larger. If you would like to be a guest on this show, all you need to do is reach out to me at Kimberly@WSBILLC.com and send me some basic information, a short bio. I need a picture and a logo, and you're more than welcome to be my guest. But until next time, you all have a wonderful evening and good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.WSBILLC.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.